Smackdown starts off with Cody Rhodes. He ends up mentioning the Rumble, mentions the potential opponents he could face, mentions Drew McIntyre, mentions CM Punk. Gets interrupted by Randy. Randy comes out. He mentions about how he's trying to chase number 15 and how they're friends, but once they enter the Rumble, that they're not friends anymore and that everything they've been through goes away and that he won't hesitate to throw Cody over the top rope. Not over the ropes. Then Jey Uso comes out, Sami Zayn comes out. They all make their claim of, eventually becoming champion and winning the Rumble, besides Sami, because Sami has a world title match. Then this eventually leads to The Vision comes out. The Vision, they make their case for Braun Breaker. Then Nick Aldis comes out, makes it a 8-man tag. And the 8-man tag match, it was fine between the heels and the babyfaces, between The Vision versus, Randy, Cody, Sami, and Jay. This was a fine match. Well, I can't really even say it was a fine match because I'm going to be honest. I did not watch this match. I watched the last 5 minutes, but the entire match, no. Because I already kind of knew how this was going to play out. I already knew it was going to be shenanigans, so that's why I really didn't get invested into it. The last 5 minutes, we get Drew McIntyre. He interferes, causes disqualification. He attacks Sami Zayn. Then it eventually leads to a brawl. Then Jacob Fatu eventually comes out between Cody, Drew, and Jacob. Drew was getting the upper hand on Cody, but then Sami comes out of nowhere with a haluva kick. Then Sami starts staring at the title. Then Sami and Cody ends up picking up the title at the same time. Then Braun Breaker spears both of them. I like the way they end the show. I thought this was good. Now, here's the thing. I'm a bit conflicted because there are people saying that Sami is guaranteed to lose due to him tactically standing tall against Drew McIntyre, but he didn't stand tall at the end. It was Braun Breaker. So there's still a bit of hope. One thing I do want to mention is I did not know Sami Zayn was undefeated in Saudi Arabia. I knew he had a winning record. I knew he doesn't lose in Saudi, but I didn't know he was undefeated. So that is a bit of hope that, Sami could pull through, because all the Sami Zayn fans, it's tough, being a Sami Zayn fan, especially on Twitter, because everyone hates him on Twitter. He gets just as much hate as Jey Uso on Twitter. I don't understand it, but I'm pulling for him. I'm cool with either decision because I understand if Drew wins, Drew makes perfect sense, especially if you want to tell some stories at Mania. But I also feel like Sami makes perfect sense as well. I'm pulling for Sami. I want Sami to win because if Sami loses, I'm not sure if he's going to be in the Rumble. And if he is in the Rumble, I'm not sure he's winning it. So it's like, I'm hoping Sami wins. Hope Sami beats Drew McIntyre, but I'm cool with either decision. So I'm very interested to see how this all unfolds. Afterwards, we do end up getting Carmelo Hayes versus Rey Fenix open challenge match for the United States Championship. This was a really good match. Carmelo Hayes picked up the victory as we expected. Later in the show, though, they end up showing some tension between him and Ilya Dragunov due to the whole Miz situation that happened last week. Ilya and Miz end up having a match due to, of course, Miz costing Ilya the United States Championship. So Ilya ended up getting his revenge. Now, it looks like they could potentially be telling a feud between Ilya and Melo, which I'm interested in. The only thing is how they're going to be able to tell that story without making it not make sense, because I hope they could find a way to make it to where Ilya can get that hatred for Melo with it making sense. Right now, I think it could kind of work to a degree, but I feel like right now you can't really push it that much further. They need something else to make Ilya hate Melo to a degree. They need to have the Miz constantly make it seem like Melo and them are working together, but Ilya just keeps reading the signs a bit wrong. They got to do something like that to continue the story for it to make sense overall. But I hope they go this direction, because as much as I like the Melo open challenges, it can get a bit repetitive and it can get a bit lazy at times. Because I do think sometimes bookers be doing open challenges just to avoid making a story when they can't think of a story. But this could actually be something very interesting, especially because I think this could potentially lead to WrestleMania. Because Melo, I don't know what you do with Melo at Mania if it ain't Ilya Dragunov or Trick Williams or a triple threat potential. So I'm very interested to see where this story could eventually unfold. We end up getting Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. They was cutting a promo for the Royal Rumble. They end up basically having a bit of a disagreement, and it looks like they was getting some friction and tension between the two because they couldn't decide what's going to happen at the Royal Rumble between either Charlotte winning or Alexa Bliss winning. Then it gets interrupted by the Judgment Day. They end up playing some mind games. Nick Aldis comes out, makes it a match. So it's a tag team match between Judgment Day and Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss end up picking up the victory due to Stephanie Vaquer interfering, helping them get the victory. I'm very interested to see if they're actually going to pull the trigger on this Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss thing, because I've been saying for a while, I've been thinking they should have broke up. I like the pairing. I think it's overrated a bit by fans, but I do like the pairing. But I do think it has ran its course. I don't know what else more you could really do with it, especially with Rhea Ripley, Io Sky being tag champs. They're kind of basically the more overpowered and more popular version of what Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss was, if we're being honest. They kind of just took that spot. So I don't know what else you really do with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss as a tag team. And honestly, I don't know what you do with them at Mania if it ain't for the women's tag team titles, if it ain't purely just that match, which that's a WrestleMania match. I'm not really interested in that match, but I wouldn't mind it personally because I think the match would be great. I would just be more interested in seeing Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss feud, in my opinion. I think there's more value there, especially because you could eventually branch them off into single stars going after the world title or the Women's United States Championship picture, because we all know that the women's division on SmackDown can desperately use Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss in the world title picture or in the mid-card scene. So we'll see how this plays out, but I did like the segment overall. And the match was fine. It wasn't good, mainly because they was playing a heel babyface dynamic where they just had the Judgment Day beat up on Alexa Bliss, wait for the hot tag, and then, the babyfaces do their thing. So the match was just whatever because they were just doing the typical heel shenanigans stuff. But overall, interested to see where this goes. We end up getting a singles match between Axiom versus Johnny Gargano. This match did end up getting a stipulation was if Axiom ended up winning this match, he officially gets his mask back. This was a really good match. You got Johnny Gargano and Axiom. They put on a good match. Candice LeRae was banned from ringside, so it was no interferences. I like the way they set this up, and I love the finish of this match because it was Johnny Gargano ended up ripping off the mask that Axiom was wearing, but he ended up having his old mask. Then he ends up putting that old mask back on to pick up the victory, which I thought was great. So this is the end of the feud. This was a cool little small feud that I enjoyed. Very interested to see what they do next because Fraxon haven't been in the tag team division in I don't know how long, and it looks like they're not going to use them anytime soon because WWE, for whatever reason, has this weird fetish for MFT and the Wyatt Six. So I don't know what you do with Fraxon because clearly they're not gonna be in the tag team division. Johnny Gargano easily could be in the mid card team for the U.S. title, so they could continue to use him there. So interested to see where this. I'm interested to see where both parties go, but hopefully they have some plans for both parties. We do end up getting AJ Styles and Gunther. They end up cutting a promo. This promo wasn't nothing special. This promo didn't last long. One thing I do want to note was that Gunther did say he wanted to tap out AJ Styles, which I don't mind, but kind of wish they didn't mention that because now that's giving me the vision that AJ Styles could potentially win, because if Gunther is going to be so focused on tapping him out, that could be the way for AJ Styles to win, and Gunther could use that as an excuse. So it's like, I don't really like the tap out angle. I just kind of wish you could just be like, look, I'm just going to destroy you and I'm just going to beat you. But now they're doing the whole tap out angle again, which kind of wish we would just avoid that, to be honest with you. But it is what it is. So it looks like Gunther is going to try to make AJ tap out. But you can also play the narrative that AJ may tap out. But, well, he's not going to tap out. He just passes out. That way he still stands tall against Gunther while losing. So I can see it going either way. Kind of wish they didn't go this route, but this is the route they're taking, especially because you did it on the Go Home show. If you was going to do that, you should have did that on the Raw or the Raw before, but you decided to do it on the Go Home show. I don't understand it, but it is what it is. Interested to see how the match plays out because I think it's one of the more unpredictable matches on the card. So, to be honest, this entire Rumble, in my opinion, is really unpredictable. Besides maybe the Women's Rumble, but overall, I'm very excited to see how this match turns out. The final thing I am going to mention is Jade Cargill and Jordynne Grace. Nothing really to go here, but it was a quick segment where they end up having a little mini brawl, which I thought was cool. Finally, they're giving something interesting for Jade Cargill. Very interested to see how they book this because both women are two dominant powerhouses, and they kind of have to be booked in similar ways where they both have to look very dominant. So I'm very interested to see how they book these two women where they out without making one look weak. So I'm very interested to see how this plays out because they can't make one look too strong, but they can't make the other look weak. So I'm very interested to see how this actually plays out. And I like they actually got physical because all we've been seeing from these two is just like small interactions with each other. Like I like that they actually got in each other's face, brawl, got security. We need more of this. We need more of this. We need more intensity because Jade Cargill has no opponents. Jordynne Grace has nothing to do. Might as well go all out. Go all out. Get crazy with this storyline, to be honest with you. The storyline isn't that, deep. It's just for the title. But, hey, you got Jordynne Grace, Jade Cargill. That's all you really need. So let's see how this eventually plays out. Overall thoughts on the show? I thought tonight's show was solid. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was a solid show. It was a solid, enjoyable show overall. But you guys let me know your overall thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. Let me know what you guys' thoughts on the Royal Rumble. Let me know who you guys have winning the Royal Rumble. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my content. But yeah, that's it.